G'day, welcome to Pay It Forward. Today we're making the perfect little princess crown. Now this one is made up in very inexpensive glitter foam and it's very easy to make. You can use hot glue if you like, and you can glue the whole thing up, or you can do a little bit of sewing on your machine. I'm going to show you both ways. It's the perfect little project for birthday parties, party favours, perhaps a school production, or just fancy dress parties. Absolutely fabulous little pattern to have in your stash that you can come back to time and time again. Now all you need to do, of course, is click on the link in the description below. You can download your free pattern templates and let's get started. Now let me tell you about glitter foam for a start. I'm going to confess to you all that I have been a bit of a craft snob about this product. For years I've completely rejected glitter foam, and it's only been recently that I have, just for some reason, I've had some in my stash and I've had a bit of a play with it. Now I think it's redeemed itself to me because after playing with it for a while I realised you can actually sew it. You have to sew it very gently, but you can sew it, and that opens up a whole world of possibilities. And the fact is there's not much prettier thing than this glitter foam, and it really suits itself to some fabulous simple little projects. It's very easy to work with. It's very forgiving because it's got some bounce in it, and also it's lovely and soft, but it's also lovely and stable, and of course it doesn't fray. So sometimes the thing that we reject can end up being our best friend. So, you know, I'm telling myself glitter foam is my friend. So I'm introducing it to you all today. All right, so you've got your pattern templates, and that on there I've told you exactly the numbers that you need to cut out and so on. Obviously you're going to choose yourself a little colour scheme for your little crown, and I do like the white glitter foam on this one. I think it really makes those little flowers pop. So definitely don't overlook the white. It's really pretty, and it gives a very clean, fresh look. So I'm going to go with the white again, but you'll see that I've changed my colour scheme this time. This little crown will suit children from around about, you know, your littlest sort of three-year-old toddlers right up to sort of a 10-year-old child. Of course, you can also add to the little arms on the back and lengthen it if you want to make it for a larger child, but it is suited. And also the way that we're going to be joining it is just with a bit of Velcro, so you can make that quite adjustable anyway. So you have all of your pieces cut out, and the way that we're going to start, the first thing that we're going to do is, you've got your little flower shapes, which are 2 pieces involved in each of your little flower shapes. Now what I've gone ahead and done is just glued them, lightly glued them together with some clear craft glue, and they're just nicely set. It just means that they're not moving around when we're trying to attach them to the front of the crown. So I've already done those, so we can put those aside, and I've also done my little larger ones too. So we'll pop those aside and we'll move these pieces out the way. Now the other things you're going to need, of course, is your little hook and loop, your little Velcro pieces, just a little snippet like that. That's probably about 5 centimeters in length, and we're just going to hot glue those on. Obviously you're going to use hot glue. The other good thing about glitter foam is it just loves hot glue, and it's a very good bond, and that's what I'll be using today. You'll need some buttons for centering your little flowers, just like I have here. So something that goes with your colour scheme. We are going to be sewing those on, but you can just hot glue them on if you wish. Move those out the way, and of course you've got all of your other little pieces all ready and cut out, and your little butterfly. So what we're going to start with is the actual construction of the crown. So we've got our little backing front crown piece, and we're going to line up this little one, the little front piece, a nice contrasting colour, line it up with the bottom, and here's where I'm going to sew it. Now you can put this whole crown together without sewing. You could glue the whole thing, but I like the fact that the sewing lets it stay nice and flexible, and it is still nicely rounded and everything's plumped out. So with where I'm going to sew this little one on, first of all, we don't want to be using a little stitch, a tight stitch. So turn your stitch length up to around about 3 or even 3.5 on your machine, and we're going to be sewing just from this lower edge, follow the top line down to there. We just leave the bottom just straight across, that's fine. And then on the little arm pieces, we're going to do the same thing, only where I'm positioning this one, I'm leaving probably about 4 millimeters from the edge, and I'm going to stitch that one on in exactly the same way on both of those pieces. And yes, there is a space at the end of each of these. There's a reason for that. You can see also with these two pieces, I've taken my pinking shears. If you have pinking shears or any kind of fancy cutting scissors, paper scissors, it will cut the craft foam very well. So you can put, it's just a little bit of extra fancy edge along there. So I'm going to go ahead and take that one and make that stitching now so that those pieces are all in place. I've got my little pieces stitched on. I don't know if you can see that very clearly, but the other reason why I like to sew those pieces is it really does add a more permanent sort of a finish to the little crown. It's just a more professional sort of look. So and I've gone along and I've just, between those two layers, on each of those pieces, I've just added a little stream of clear craft glue again, just to seal those bottom sections there. You could of course just stitch it again if you wanted to, but just one little line of glue and that will just hold those little layers closed. So our next step is to join our side panels onto our crown. Now the front part of the crown overlaps the side bars, and you can see that you'll just slot that in, exactly line it up there. Now this time on the machine, I'm going to sew a wide zigzag across that little line there, just so that everything sits nice and flat, and I'll sew an extra single line of straight stitching just along here so that that's really nice and firm there on the side, and I'll repeat that with the other side. You can see that's got a lovely finish there and everything's going to sit nice and flat and it's very secure. Next step is we're going to move on to our little butterfly, and we've got our two little pieces here. Now you can see with the little butterfly wings at the top, if you've got a little cutter, just a normal little hole punch, I've just punched out the little top of the wings there and the little at the base there. It just adds a little bit more detail and allows colour to show through, and just it's always, you know, a little bit more detail is always nice. So our little top contrasting butterfly here, I'm going to take that one to the machine, and with my black, even though we're going to cover it, so it doesn't really matter about the thread colour, I'm going to just stitch straight down, back and forth on right down the center there, so that that little butterfly is nicely centered in place, but it's also staying nice and separate, so we get that little 3D effect. If you're not using your sewing machine, or perhaps you don't have a sewing machine, you can just hot glue that little one into place. Once your little butterfly center is in place, you're going to need to cut yourself just an extra little strip of your black glitter foam, and that is 4 centimeters long and it's only about 4 millimeters wide. And what we're going to do is we're just going to hot glue that one on in place, and we're going to wrap it under to meet the other side with the top part. We're just going to fold that one over. We want to keep everything nice and flat so that we get that nice little centering of that little butterfly. So I'm just going to hot glue that one into place. So now we have our butterfly all ready with that little centerpiece in place. Now we get to position all of our little pieces on our crown. So your little heart sits just at the top here. Your big butterfly sits about 5 centimeters from the top point to the center here. And that way you've got that lovely little overlap of the little wings. Now your little flowers, they have to actually tuck in quite close. So you've got your two larger ones first, and get them in as close as you can, because what you have to remember is that when the crown is flat like that, they're all quite tight. But once your crown bends, you don't want too many spaces in between. You want it to be a nice full little crown. So I pop on my little flowers first. So this is all done with hot glue. So I'm just going to show you the layout. And make sure that they're all nice and even each side. Now the same with the little blue flower, your little second flower, quite close to the other one. Now I like to hot glue those pieces all on, and then I add my little leaves. Now I've given you the amount of leaves to cut out. You can cut out more, you can have less, it's entirely up to you. But once those little flowers are hot glued into place, you can then lift up the little edges and hot glue your little leaves into place. Now I just put a couple at the bottom. I've got a darker green here just for some variance, and it's very easy. Make sure that you hot glue just in the center so that you can still get those edges up. And we do want those edges to still come up because you get that lovely 3D effect. You can really pull them up at the end. And I've got you've got your little pieces of green, and you can situate them any way you like. You can see there that I've done 2 on this one, I've done 3 on this one, and a couple, but I've kept it a little random. I haven't made it all matchy, so it still stays nice and interesting. And then we've got our little heart shapes, and they're actually going to go on the side band, and we just put them at a slight angle. Now what we want to leave room for is our little mini butterflies. Now they're going to be stitched on last, so we're not going to hot glue those into place unless of course you're gluing the whole little crown together. So I'll be adding each of my little hearts at this stage, and then we'll be adding our little butterflies at the end. So you can go ahead and get everything hot glued on. Our buttons go on afterwards, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how to finish up. There you can see all of my little pieces are now hot glued in place, and that's really quite a solid little finish there. The hot glue is really happy to work with that glitter foam. So it's lovely to see it all coming together. They really are so pretty when they're done. And so our next step is I like to sew on my little butterflies. Now they're going to be sewn, and that just covers up that little section there. So you can just sew them. Again, pop them on a little angle, and I will just sew with a black thread just up and down there, and that will center that little one, and it will also allow those little wings to tilt up. If you're still just using glue, you can go ahead and just hot glue those little ones into place, but perhaps just use a stream of hot glue down the center so that you can still get that little lift up, which is really pretty. Also remember with these that I'm doing the whole thing with glitter foam, you know, and a few buttons, but of course there's so many little things that you can purchase to add to them that are quite inexpensive, little jewels and that sort of thing. A little jewel would look lovely up here and perhaps down here, but of course that's entirely up to you. You can really add as much as you like. So I'm just going to go and stitch my little butterflies on now. And there you can see now I've got my 2 little butterflies into place, and my next step is just to add my buttons. Now as I said, you can go ahead and hot glue those on if you like. I like to sew them on just because I can pull that in a little. Now if you are going to sew them on, you need to sew them on gently, so don't be really pulling on that craft foam, because you don't want that to break through. So you only need a couple of little stitches just to hold those little buttons into place. And I will have my little blue in the center there, and I will add my little red centers there, keeping with my sort of my Snow White kind of theme. So I'm going to go ahead and sew those on. And now I have my little buttons all in place, and that's why I like to sew them on. That little bit of stitching just really centers them nicely. And so our final step for our little crown is to add our little Velcro pieces. And that is as simple as taking that one back to our hot glue, and you're going to add your little pieces. Now remember to, perhaps if you're making it for your own child, of course you can measure their little head and you can get it exact. I've given you a basic, a general measurement for most children. If you're making this one for an older child, just check that the measurements will fit. And we're just going to hot glue that one on there and hot glue that one on the other side so that they will connect together nicely. And here we have our finished little crown. Our little Velcro is in place, and you can see we've just got a lovely little result there. And the best thing about these little crowns too is because they're made of the craft foam, on the inside it's nice and soft as well, so they're actually quite comfortable to wear. So I've got my little Velcros done up there, and we're all set. Absolutely beautiful for a little princess. Now, just as a little added extra, I'm sure that a lot of you are going to be making these for birthdays and parties and so on. So for a little extra party favour, just to help you along, the little butterfly that you've cut out for this one, I'm going to show you now very quickly. I'm going to show you how to add that to a little clip, and to make a little hair clip, and that can be a little party favour for you. You could do little giveaways in your little gift bags and so on. So what I've done is I've just glued this little one to the little black part of the butterfly. I've still kept it so that the little edges can tip up like that, because that's what we like. And I've cut myself a little strip, and that one is around about 5 millimeters wide and just long enough to wrap around our little clip. And you'll just need a little alligator clip. This one is about 50 millimeters. You can get them smaller than this, but this one will be fine. So we'll just pop over to my hot glue gun and I'll show you how to put that one together. So here we are over where I do all of my hot gluing, my trusty old hot glue gun girl here. And you can see when I'm doing some hot glue work, I just tape a piece of silicone baking paper down on my old tabletop, and it just makes it easier for cleanup and your glue isn't sticking to your tabletop. So we've got our little 2 pieces glued together, and we've got our little clip, and so all we need to do is flip that one over, and we're going to just add some glue to the back. And we're just going to glue that one in place, and it's nice and flat, so it's really easy. There's nothing tricky about this little project at all, but I just thought it's a good little extra for you, and it's all in keeping. You could do a fairy or a princess fairy theme for a birthday party, and these can be the little giveaways. It's lovely to have something to give little guests to take away. So then our next step, see we've got our little clip there. Our next step is just to open up that little clip. We're going to add a little bit of glue right in the centre there. And we're going to pop our little centre piece in. Press that one down. Add some glue on the front. And pull that one right down. You've got some hot glue showing. You take that away just before it's set. Lots of glue strings there. And I've just flipped that one over. I've cut my little strip just to be the right length to just cover that little clip there. I'm going to add my last little bit of glue on that little tail end. And it's just a matter of tucking that one in, pressing it down. remove your glue strings and then plump your little bow out, and you can lift those little central wings out, and you've got a lovely little party favour clip, and my little granddaughter has a couple of these and she absolutely loves them. So there we have beautiful little crowns. I hope you all have a lovely little princess in your life that you can make that one for perhaps a birthday party, and of course the little extra butterfly bow is just the little bit of icing on the cake and lovely to throw in a little gift bag. So I hope you've enjoyed making these with me. Well, thank you all for watching today and making up this very sweet little project with me. I hope you find it very useful. If you've enjoyed this video, you could give me a thumbs up, that would be beaut. Make sure that you subscribe, because I'm probably going to do a few more little projects with this glitter foam, just so we can really appreciate the medium a little bit more. Very inexpensive, so it'll be great. So moving forward, you can follow me on Instagram. And how about you show me the things that you're making with my patterns. I absolutely love to see what you've done. It's really the highlight of my day when I receive a picture. So follow me on Instagram, send me your photos, and I'm going to make a special Pinterest board for you all. And so you can follow me on Pinterest too. And I'm going to pin all your creations up there and show off, because you're all so clever, you need to show off. So thank you so much for that, and keep talking to me in the comments. I love to hear what you have to say. Most of all, everybody, remember, if something good comes your way, just pay it forward, because we all can. Till next time, it's Huru from me.